Good evening, good evening, good evening. Whew, so much. So very much. I wish I could say that a lot of the social commentary going on and a lot of the social discord is shocking, unexpected even. But it's not. It's very on brand. It's very on brand. Um we currently have people online saying that they wish and are hopeful and are gleeful about the prospect of people not receiving EBT/SNAP benefits or TANF benefits for the month of November. Some are gleeful because they think that it's going to drive down the cost of their groceries. How they came to that conclusion, I don't know. How do you think removing consumers from that market would reduce prices? Other people are gleeful because they want to pretend that people receiving these benefits are neglectful and or lazy. And many of these people admit, unprovoked, that they too once received those benefits. Every time I hear someone say that they did it with no help, no help, no help, and then when you ask them, are you sure you got absolutely no help? They start listing a plethora of help from a variety of people and often the government. But for some reason, for them, they don't see it as assistance. They don't see it as a handout. And quite honestly, let's look at one of the biggest arguments that a certain subset has, that they believe because of their political leanings that they are taking care of everyone else. How? 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 I want you to think numerically because they're not saying, oh, they're subsidizing this or that. No, they truly believe that they are taking care of a whole set of the US population. How? How much do you really believe that you are paying into these programs? Because another thing that people don't realize, you complain about socialism and social programs, but you do realize there are a lot of companies that is their business model. One example I give a lot are insurance companies. Everybody pays into the pot, and then as needed, that money is drawn from the pot. If you buy a house and you've been paying on the policy for 3 years, just 3 years, Do you think you've paid enough in premiums should your home burn down to replace the home and everything in it? You get a car, you get car insurance. 3 months into having that car, your car is totaled and insurance replaces it. I want you to do the math. I want you to think about this. Have you paid in enough? No. We have a ton of programs that work like this. Just like when the ACA, Affordable Care Act slash Obamacare, was first on the table, people, biggest argument I heard in real life was, I don't want to pay for anybody else's insurance. Hello, Medicare and Medicaid would like to have a word with you. When people say that, hey, police forces don't need X, Y, and Z, and this should be set up this way. Here, and the argument is, well, if that's the case, if you're in need, don't call the cop. Sweetheart, if we did it the way that you want it done, you wouldn't be able to call the cops. Because before they do anything, they'd swipe your debit card or they'd send you an invoice. And after so many times of you going delinquent, then you are blocked from ever calling again. How would you like for essentially toll booths to be set up at most roads? And if you have not paid for the upkeep of that road, you can't drive down it. But by this logic, by this individualistic logic, I want you to think about it. Living in a society means you live cooperatively. You live as a collaborative, a collective, if you will. Yes, you are able to have things to your liking within your home. You choose the type, for the most part, the job that you have, where you live, what you put into your home. But I also need you to realize that you need to stop proclaiming the United States as being the richest when you live like the poorest. If the United States is so much bigger, bolder, better, and more bountiful financially than any other nation on this floating third rock from the sun, why are you crying about money going to help the least of us? Why are you so willing to always throw money at people who already have money? If you believe that money would fix all of your problems, why are you always so willing to give it away to people who already have money? I saw a conversation spark this week on TikTok where people thought that they were doing something, starting their own little revolution, okay, to take down the top 1%ers of social media creators and influencers. They decided finally to stop gifting large creators that are monetized on multiple platforms in multiple ways on each platform. And I'm like, y'all just now figured this out? Y'all will see a smaller creator and ask them a bunch of personal questions and demand that they answer it, even if they're doing a fundraiser. But you'll see a large creator that's sitting on a live telling you nothing that will help your life, but telling you about their last trip to Dubai, their last trip to Paris, how they were at this fashion week, and you're throwing money at them. And you think this is your revolution? And these same people took a breath and went over to Twitter. Yes, I noticed Adoptive Daddy calls it, but I call it what his bio daddy named it. Over on Twitter, had the audacity to go under post from Palestinians that are finally getting complete nourishing meals and bitching and complaining about the beverages that these people are given as if they're given a choice, telling them that water is always an option. Is it? Is it though? Have you ever lived through a genocide? Do you think the water is just clean and flowing? And you're upset because they're being given Coca-Cola. We need to have a little bit more common sense, critical thinking, and media literacy. We know that companies that have felt the pressure, felt financial hits because of their involvement with Israel through all of this are going to try diligently to rebrand themselves. But you punish the people who have been starving? I dare you to go without food, go without nourishment for as long as these Palestinians have. And then when somebody provides you with food and beverage, you turn it down. And the only reason these Palestinians are taking pictures and putting it out on the internet is to confirm that they are the ones getting the food. Because so many other times we've been told that aid has been coming through to them and they weren't the ones getting the aid. But we're stuck in this society of trying to force this moral superiority instead of achieving actual equitable superiority over savagery, over tyranny. And I bring this up because there's going to be a change. Trump is moving expeditiously, not because of the Heritage Foundation, not because of all the Svengalis with their hand up his butt as their puppet. Trump is clearly terminal. He is ticking off of his bucket list. There's no getting around it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's none whatsoever. When Trump dies, so does MAGA. There will be a few stragglers that will try to hold on. And yes, a lot of people are using Trump for power. That does not mean that they're fearful of him, but they are going to spin a story that they are. No different than any other former cult member, especially high-ranking cult members. No different than Nazis who left Germany and went to other countries. Before you say that I'm reaching, if what I'm saying wasn't true, we wouldn't have neo-Nazis in other countries to this day. We wouldn't be having an argument over anti-fascism, Antifa, to this day. There are people who are going to come, oh, I only did it because he forced me. He was so mean. He was blackmailing me. I was afraid of him. That's what they're going to do because they're not going to willingly give up the power that they waged everything on. They're not going to do it. They are not. It does not matter how big or how small the organization is. Let me say this again. It does not matter how big or how small the organization is. There's always going to be someone who either thinks that they're bigger than the program or they want the program to be all about them. And the ones that want it to be all about them the most are not going to be the faces of the program. Think I'm joking? Let's keep with the example of MAGA. Who has the most influence in MAGA? You're probably thinking Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, all of these. Nope. Nope. Some may even say Laura Loomer. She holds a great deal of influence. Nope. Who benefits the most? Whether MAGA sustains, dies, whether Trump stays free, or the United States breaks tradition, because that's the only thing keeping him from being arrested and tried right now is tradition. Not law, not the Constitution, tradition. Melania Trump. Someone who seemingly shows she doesn't want any power, that she doesn't want anything out of it, but she absolutely does. And when all the chips fall down, there are people that'll herald her for being so brave and so strong. And oh my God, she's a widow, or oh, she's an abuse victim, or oh, look at what she sustained. She had a hand in it all the way through. Because this is not like a serial rapist who goes through great lengths to hide what they're doing from their partner, from their friends, from their parents, and things like that. This isn't like serial killers who will get a wife and a family to appear unassuming and appear to be a safe space in order to be able to collect their victims and evade accountability. This is somebody who is publicly, loudly, boisterously watching their spouse be egregious and heinous. This is someone who involved themselves in despicable behavior in order to become the spouse. It's never the person that you think wants to be the next in line and wants to be the spokesperson. No, it's the person who positions themselves as the sidekick, as so meek and meekly, as, oh, I constantly need saving. It's the one that has the ear of the leader. It's the one that benefits the most, but really doesn't have any collateral to lose. Go with me if you will. Imagine if I approach you. I say, I got this business venture. You're like, Taz, I don't have the money to invest in it. You don't have to invest no money. You don't even really have to invest any time. Just sign on the dotted line. You'll be like, shh, silent partner. But you get a cut of all of this. And you're like, for real? Yeah. Sign it. It's guaranteed to be yours. You're like, shit, I got it. I'm going to do it. Then you start noticing, like, wait a minute. This company over here, this one is cool, but I don't really want to be the forefront. If I can get them to go over to that company, we can make some work. I know they're going to bring me along because, they think I'm behind the success here when I really don't do nothing. But they ain't going to leave this company. Yeah, you know what? Let me destroy it from the inside out. And that's what goes on. Think for a minute of entourages. Now, a lot of people specifically think of, if they're old enough, the entourage of MC Hammer, and how a lot of people blame that for his demise. How he was so focused on the entourage and giving things out, but it still reigns true to this day. People are always talking about the female gold digger, but they're not looking at in these movements that, hey, sir, what's the man for? That the biggest gold diggers, the biggest ones that are trying to benefit the most are the entourage. So when I hear all these people going, okay, you might be right. Trump is on the way out. JD Vance is worse. We ain't got to worry about JD Vance. We ain't got to worry about JD Vance. Because the sleeper cell for JD Vance, because JD is going to revert back to just being a regular Republican, would be Usha. Because Usha gets him out of the house, because she's still living in Cincinnati, Ohio. And she gets to tick things off of her bucket list by way of taxpayers. And also, from the social media streets, a lot of people are saying, don't call people within MAGA cult members, because that gives them plausible deniability. It makes it seem as if they don't know what they're walking into. Multiple things can be true at one time. There are cult members that willingly walked into the cult. There are people who are in cults that know that they're in cults. Y'all heard of the Church of Scientology, and there are people who go in because their money allows them to skip certain things, like, the indoctrination phase. Cults need administration. Two, the KKK, you could say, is a cult. But two, there are people who were in MAGA knowing full well that this is just their way to exercise their racism loud, proud, and bold. Okay. And there are also people who have been swindled into it. I've discussed this before, that there's a breakdown within white supremacy, and we are not taking advantage of that breakdown as we should be. Good old traditional white supremacists knew that they were lying about communities that they were marginalizing, because they were doing the marginalization. How do you think they got legislation out so quickly and redacted books so quickly? But there came a time when they stopped informing their children of the lies. They were just passing down the lies and not the fact that they were lies. So now you have people who really believe the lies. And what we're missing is we have the facts, we have the data, we have the proof to prove them wrong. And the first time we publicly saw this on a large scale was the son of David Duke, who admitted his father never let him in on the lie. His father was telling him these things. But see, white supremacy works when you know that you're lying. It's no different than the stereotypical used car salesman. When they know that they're selling a lemon and they're lying to you about doing it, they're more effective because they know what to hide from you, how to hide it to get the car off the lot. When somebody truly believes that this is a workable, great vehicle, they don't know to hide all of the things. So when you don't know that you've been lied to, even if you don't want to admit publicly, you start looking like, oh, I guess that was a lie. And if you follow this podcast for a while, we've had that happen on this show. We have, where I've invited someone on for a conversation. We sat down and talked. Most notably was the guy, the homesteader. And I check in with him every so often. Yeah, you would be amazed at the progress that he's made. Because on that show, you saw where he was like, whoa, wait a minute. Especially when I pointed out, when I asked him, you keep saying that there's an agenda against you. Who's bringing you this information? And he had to realize nobody from these communities that he had been taught and told to hate were coming up to him going, Black power. Hey, let's be gay together. Oh, you got to be trans. Nobody was saying that. It was the people who was telling him to hate these people that was bringing him videos and articles and just putting everything in his face. And he's like, oh, this is overwhelming. They are trying to make me this way and that. No. We got to keep that in mind. Because if we don't, we lead ourselves into people believing that we can unite over things that we cannot unite under. Because are there things that unify us? Yes. And there are some things that people are reaching on. Most recently, see it online, the Purple Revolution, and how people behind the Purple Revolution are now trying to distance themselves. Oh no, I'm not a founder or creator of that. I was just trying to explain things. Yeah, stop. Yes, you were. And they're lashing out and they're going back to their right-wing violent ways. But it's because people are like, oh, we can ignore this and we can ignore that. We can just come together on this. It's just classism. It's just this. We have to educate ourselves out of it. And with that, we're going to spend the rest of this time talking about the following. Because chow. The epitome of tone deaf is what you're about to hear. The epitome of tone deaf. Now I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to remove myself because I'm not going to give any commentary while this is going on. We'll get into the commentary after it's done. I want you to watch it all the way through. Okay? Get ready to clutch your pearls.
Privilege. I know that sounds crazy to being, having to do more than us and having gone through so much. I think that we've heard a lot about spirituality, but I feel like because you guys have gone through so much, there's like an enlightenment to you. I always feel such a draw and just so seen in a way that I don't feel as much with white people, I would say. So, I mean, I will just say that I feel like you guys are magnets and I hope that your voice gets heard more. Because I think that there has been a lot of trauma of just invisibility and your way of rising through it and still being survivors and stuff. I don't know, I've always felt like it's been super special. And I'm so thankful for the relationships that I've had.
Oh, shit, not the bridge being built. Not the bridge!
I will never forget, let me just say, when I was younger, I will never forget looking over as a young kid and seeing a black man get out of a Mercedes and something, I was like, that's success. And there's just always that vision. And I know it doesn't have to be like a superficial symbol, but there was just something implanted in me as a young kid. And I had a buzzed head when I was young, and I felt like I think I've allowed myself to see that, like, having shorter hair as a female, like, I haven't seen myself a lot on in the media, and I've heard that be a complaint of a lot of other people of not feeling that represented. So I think kind of feeling othered a lot in my own world in just a small way had made me feel like a kinship. And so I think that while there's privilege to being white, I feel like there's another privilege that doesn't get spoken about of actually having to suffer, because those are the people that really know how to, like, have resilience and rise up and actually listen and just thrive. So
I know that we were just celebrating the bridge you made, and I don't want to tear it down, but I think I had a different response seemingly than the rest of the room to that. I know that you mean well by that, and I can see that you're very genuine. I have a really hard time sitting with the idea that the significant trauma that the Black community has experienced in this country has made us enlightened, and that there's like this beautiful spiritual quality that it's given us, because I think it feels, and maybe I'm just speaking to the way that's landed for myself, like a huge bypassing of how genuinely traumatic that is, to be like, well, look at you, like you're radiant now.
No, I'm not saying that.
I'm
saying
that's
that, like,
the way that
you've been through something, whereas, like, we're over here and who knows how much we've even been through.
Yeah, and like I'm not.
But you've
disagreeing
also
with
rolled
that.
your eyes at so many people that have been speaking. So I don't know if that's your.
I mean,
your
a lot of
immediate-
really insane things have been said.
I don't know if
but
that's your immediate response is just to roll your eyes. Might not have the best, like, language with it, but I know that, like, on a soul level, like, I feel I have a lot of awe and respect.
And I
that is-
appreciate that a lot.
Take it where you can get it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All I'm saying is this idea that somehow having endured what the Black community has endured in this country, and coming out the other end, barely surviving. There are people right now who are not surviving. Yeah. That's somehow a privilege is ludicrous. And like, maybe what you said completely landed wrong with me, but that's how I took all of that, and that's all that's
There. Okay. Okay. Let's break this down. Trying to form an allegiance in a tone-deaf manner is ridiculous. It is. But this is even more egregious because this shows that white women have the ability and the knowledge to know what is inherently in Black women. They know that it was fine-tuned and strengthened through strife. And the only reason it's being repackaged now as a privilege is because white women want to tap into it as if it is a perfume that they can put on that will give them superpowers. To then try to unite by saying, well, being a white woman, being a woman with shorter hair, I don't see representation. When? Where? How? But then to immediately slip into ownership and microaggressions. And what do I mean by ownership? Go with me now. Everyone sat quietly and listened to her say everything she had to say. Soon as the young Black woman started to speak, That white woman kept interrupting. She did not want to listen. She wanted a pat on on the back. She wanted her gold star. That's it. No more, no less. Full stop. And then to try to denigrate, to insinuate that after complimenting Black women, that Black women were still beneath her with the "you were rolling your eyes, you did this to multiple people, take it where you can get it." So you know that you're only giving it out so that you can receive something. Anytime non-deconstructing, fully practicing Euro-American default damsels in distress have something good to say about a Black woman, it's when they want to get into the club to take notes so that they can turn around and commodify it, whether it's commodifying it for financial gain or societal clout. Yeah, that did not miss me, Boxing. And it's like, are you serious? You're going to sit here and talk about the strength and everything else of Black women. Then try to make it about yourself and then be upset because you are corrected. I'm going to say something and you may want to have a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm going to need you to stick a pin in it and listen to me through the end, okay? Open your ears. You might have to write down the moment that this is on your ticker and come back to it later. Black women have always been diverse. Black women have always been educated. Black women have always been adaptive. Black women have always had strength. You took Black women and men and children from collaborative societies and forced them into a patriarchy where you forgot about them until you needed to blame them. And what do I mean like that? Let's not forget. History girly here. When you think about chattel slavery, think about the stories you're told about it. Think about the books, the movies, and who is centered. Even in modern conversations, who is discussed? As if the only thing that happened to Black women, and I'm not downplaying this, was sexual assault of their children being sold. And they even talk about it separately. They don't talk about the fathers grieving their children being stolen and sold. They don't really talk about the sexual assault of men. You do realize in those fields were women also getting beat, were women also being stolen, were women also. You didn't really start hearing so much about Black women until Black women needed to be the blame. There was a certain subset of Black men that decided, you know what, I'm not catching up to the white man quick enough, forgetting the head start that those white men were given and the speed bumps that are placed in front of Black men, women, and non-binary people every 2 to 3 steps. So I'm going to blame the Black woman in the house with me. And white men needed someone to distract Black men from the things that white men were doing to them. So they perpetuated it. Now all you hear is negative, 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 negative. Now we're getting to a shift. Because people always say, well, you told Black women to do better, get better, and everything else. So we did. We never stopped. We never stopped. Y'all never noticed till now. And that's the thing. You're noticing who's always been the blueprint. You're noticing why we had our bodies legislated against. You're noticing that these preferences are just Black women with the melanin sucked out, with all the seasoning extracted from them, so to speak. You're noticing that we've always been the Ginger Rogers to everybody's Fred Astaire. We had to do the same thing in heels backwards. And sometimes we had to play both parts. You're just now realizing that Black women have been the CEOs of not just the households, but secretly of so many businesses. You're just now taking note that when people get a little bit of wealth behind them, they decide to put a Black woman on their arm because they know she ain't there for physical gold. She's there for the gold within you, because we are fervently connected to the roots of our ancestors. So we see the true value in life. And this is why all of a sudden, everybody wants to be our friend. Everybody wants to get near us, because it is no different than the extraction of the Egyptians. It's just this time they're not grinding up our bones and sniffing them and making tea out of them and seasoning their rotting meat with it, thinking that they can ingest our essence. They are now trying to get in the club with us and rub shoulders and elbows with us, as if who we are at our core is going to rub off on them. You're absolutely right. This is why so many men suffer from misogyny. You're absolutely correct. When people ask why in the United States, as a Black woman, I am so into history, and why I am not so heartbroken over history. Do I get frustrated? Yes. Anybody that's taking a class from me or related to me or friends with me, y'all know about my different list of beefs, historical beefs. Yeah, I got plenty of jokes about history. But the reason why I'm so rooted in history, excuse me, is because history reminds me of the greatness that lives in me, the greatness that grows in me, the greatness that I can pass down. It reminds me that, what did Maya Angelou say? And still I rise. I can tell you that I know how the cage bird sings and why the cage bird sings, because I've been that cage bird that picked the lock of the cage and escaped. I know that no matter how many times you try to set my feet on fire, I can still walk. I know that no matter what you take from me and how much you try to silence my voice, my words will still permeate. They won't just permeate the air, they will permeate your core. I know that when I speak, I carry weight. History shows me that a few will see me now, but a multitude will see and hear me later. I know that not just as a woman, but as a Black woman, what I leave on this earth will continue to grow and flourish. And in 2 to 3 centuries still, there will be another me. A seed that I dropped upon the soil will grow and flourish. No matter how much blacktop, no matter how much concrete you put down. I know that the history of Black people did not start in the United States. It did not start with chattel slavery. There has not been a stop to it. Is it without strife? Is it without heartache? Absolutely not. Because just like there are upsides, there are downsides to everything, because you cannot appreciate the good without knowing the bad. And as a Black woman, I'm going to be stolen from more than anybody else. And I know this and I accept this. That does not mean that I'm complacent in it or comfortable in it, but you have to accept reality in order to deal with it. I'm not going to become J-Lo delusional in order to get through this world, because that does not help me nor anyone else. I know that I have to be cautious in who I speak to, because I can sit and tell somebody what I have discovered, and they'll pick up the phone and talk to somebody else as if they never spoke to me, and every idea is theirs. I realize that as I reach for greatness, there's going to be somebody grabbing my ankle, either wanting me to pull them up with them with no energy or effort, or they are going to try to pull me down because I'm Black and they believe that I should not have. Because isn't it funny that everybody always talks about the Illuminati when it's talking about Black excellence, Black greatness, Black talent, Black intellect, but nothing else? Nobody is questioning how a woman who keeps trying to make herself look like a prepubescent boy with the writing capability of a second grader that's hopped up on whatever Honey Boo Boo's mama was giving her on Toddlers and Tiara is a billionaire. But they question a Black woman being referred to as the vocal Bible. And whether you're in agreement or you have to come back and rewatch this, or you had any type of pushback to what I had to say, why? Why? One, why were you so quick to agree? What thought did you put into it? Did you agree because of our proximity? Did you agree because there are other people around that can hear and may look at you funny? Did you have pushback because you don't want to admit your comfort in actual privilege? It's me, sir. This is why I often tell people, stop calling people underrated. There's no such thing. They're undersupported. Because if you really pay attention, people say, oh, they're underrated. I've known about them for years, but you didn't say anything. You waited for somebody else to say something about them. You waited for somebody else to give them their flowers. You're waiting for somebody else to do it. And then you just want to act like you were one of the cool kids and better than everybody else. Absolutely the fuck not. Every day I hear people going, oh, I wish people knew about this person. Now, why aren't you talking about it? For all of my faults, one thing for certain, two things for sure. If I hear about an awesome person, I'm telling everybody about it. What? If I find a good deal, I'm telling everybody about it. No one is underrated. They're under supported. They're underrepresented. Break the mindset of waiting to publicly, visibly support someone until they've already made it. I'm not saying that once you hit that pinnacle, once you reach that goal, you don't need support. That's not what I'm saying. Because we tell each other all the time, we tell folks all the time, if you couldn't love me at my lowest, you can't love me at my... It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We want change, but we're losing a lot of the change makers because when you believe you're alone in the fight or that your fight is for naught, who wants to waste their life feeling like they're just punching air? In our final few moments, I know we all face burnout in some levels at some times. I myself have. I considered shutting everything down. More so because I started to feel like people were viewing me as a machine, as a workhorse, and nothing more, not as a human being, not someone that goes through things on the day to day. There were times where, full honesty, I wanted to crash out on a couple of folks. Because I can't tell y'all how many days I have felt like shit and got up and pulled myself together to get stuff done and been told, you couldn't have been that sick because you did X, Y, and Z. Then to turn around and the same person go, when I'm like, you know what, you're right. I should take some time off and heal. Well, as an adult, I pull myself together. Ho, do you want to be cool or you want to catch these hands? Which one? And I've also had moments where I've asked for grace and patience. People have decided in that moment to send me the most egregious stories, ask me about the most savage thing. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Okay? Piss me off enough. I'm going to say a whole bunch of stuff. This is going to make you want to play in traffic in front of a fleet of semis. Yes, I can be one of the sweetest people that you meet. Okay? I can also verbally be the most prolific serial killer you've ever heard. I'm surgical with this bitch. And the reason why I say that is that sometimes, in my advice to people, sometimes it can seem like I don't care, or I may look at you like, okay, that's it. That's why you're falling apart. I don't mean to. I don't. Not playing the oppression Olympics, the frustration Olympics, no, nothing. Take time as you need it. Mental health is extremely, extremely, extremely important. But any decision that you make it for yourself, based upon your actions and based upon your words. Base it upon what you can handle in accordance to whatever village is or is not in support of you. And regardless, if you don't practice a religion at all, or you do practice a religion, if you're not raising a child under the age of 13, you are responsible for nobody else's sins, nobody else's mistakes, nobody else's anything. Don't take that on. Ever. And I'm saying this as somebody who used to do that. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And in some regards, I'm still fighting through that and to keep myself from doing it. Being within a community that has been marginalized is tough. It's frustrating. It is an obstacle course with landmines everywhere. add intersectionality, you can want to throw your hands up every single day. You can. But remember, at the end of the day, you cannot get laxed on that course, and you cannot give up on that course. And this isn't about future generations or anything else. And yeah, it's good to look long term, but we keep forgetting about the short term. We still have to survive now. And I need you to keep that in mind. If you're going to ask people to lean on you, be able to lean back. What do I always say? Don't ask for what you cannot give, and do not give what you cannot ask for. Don't. It is okay to be strong, but just like in a movie, you're not always going to be the strong hero. Sometimes you're going to be the one that needs to be rescued. You're not always going to be the lead. Sometimes you're going to be in an ensemble cast. Sometimes you're going to be an extra. Sometimes you're going to be the producer. Sometimes you're going to be the director. Sometimes you're just going to be the audience. And you have to accept that. Typecasting yourself into misery and self-destruction, it does nothing. And as much as you may want to believe it, not one of us lives to ourselves or dies to ourselves. Whether you see who is influenced by what you do and what you say and how you live or not, there are a multitude of people that will. There are a multitude of people who will be hurt if you allow misery to speed up you ascending unto the bosom of your ancestors. And there are people who've been filling up picture after picture after picture after picture in order to refill your cup. They're just waiting for you to remove your hand from the top of it. And like I said, I give advice based upon what my actual lived experience and what I've had to learn. And I do that because hopefully, I can save someone some of the strife and pain and lost time that it took for me to learn these lessons the hard way. So, with that being said, a little bit of housekeeping. One, Letitia James started a portal where if you see ICE doing some not so kosher things in the New York area, that link to that portal is in my bio. On TikTok and here on YouTube, there is a GCPR schedule and where you can find GCPR all over all of the interweb, because I know everybody has their favorite platforms. What else was I going to say? As always, if you need a break from all the seriousness, you can go to Taz After Dark, link in my bio if you like to read, or check out my Nick Adams fanfic page that some way has duped MAGA because it's like ranked number 5 by MAGA. I thought I made it clear that it's satire making fun of him, but okay. Also, if you're not subscribed here, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get all things Taz. If you want to keep up with my entire schedule, you can join the Signal chat, link in the bio. Also, if you love history and that content, I do have a Saturday class for adults and more in-depth history content on Substack. through a subscription. Subscription on Substack is $8 a month. Yes, $8 a month. And as always, if you could do your girl a solid here on YouTube, when you get a moment, peruse the parameters of this profile and just watch 2 videos for me. That would be great. And I thank you in advance. And to always remind you, I do the news because news is just history as we live it, as it unfolds. And that's why I give you historical context behind it. Thank you for joining me. I will see you all tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 Central, for the Taz Effect daily news in a way you did know you could use. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we will continue to feel better. Throat's still a little scratchy, but I will have another portion of the new series regarding all of the factions from its conception till now of the GOP. If you have not caught up on the ones that are up so far, go check that out. But as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Go out and get into the good trouble, but nothing, and I mean nothing, that requires bail in this economy. And remember, it only requires bail should you get caught. Allegedly. Allegedly. I'll see you all later. Be good.